The majority of the beginning part of the offseason focusing on my body. I feel like I'm in a really good place right now. And really, as my throwing reps have continued to grow, sort of those phases continue. And I think right now, whether it's footwork, whether it's the offense, I'm very comfortable in this offense right now. And I think, building chemistry even more with some of the guys that are on field, rebuilding my chemistry with Ronnie, maybe some guys that I haven't gotten as many reps with. I think, especially this time right now, that's the time to do it. And we're really close right now, and I'm excited to see all that work, come into fruition and us get after it in camp.
Okay, kind of a corollary to that. How do you feel like where do you feel like you've made the biggest improvements going from this point last year to now?
I think my footwork has changed a lot. I feel like I have a better base right now. I think, really, I feel really confident in my throwing right now. I think as the season goes on, as more balls are being thrown, you kind of settle into mid-season form. And I think this offseason especially, my accuracy has probably been as clean as it's ever been in my career. And I'm very confident in my ability right now.
Cade, there's a lot of people talking about this offense and its potential. Is there an aspect that you think you're most excited about and live up to what people are saying?
I would say I'm just really excited to see just a big group of guys who've been together for so long for us to I want to see success. I think everyone else does too. We got a big group of guys who have been playing together for a while. A lot of guys who have seen a lot of game experience. And I think really over the course of my career, really with the exception of with Donovan Peoples-Jones, Nico Collins, Sean McCune, like guys who have been on the field as much as them, I think this is the most experienced group that I've been around really in my entire career.
You've had Josh Gad as your offensive coordinator. Now you've got two offensive coordinators. How is that going to work? How has it worked so far in the spring?
I think so far, we're finding our way to, what that looks, how that feels best for, really, there's so much more to being an offensive coordinator than just calling plays. And I think Coach Harbaugh is doing a really good job of balancing the two, and those two are being very unselfish. They're really two great individuals, and it's pretty obvious to the team how much they care about their new roles as well. And really, I'm just really excited to, continue growing my relationship with both of them.
Hey, you've been around that Weiss now for a year. Where do you take it?
I think Coach Weiss is he's extremely smart. I think, any situational awareness, Coach Weiss is very comfortable in any scenario that we get put in a football game. I think what he brings to the table as far as drawing up plays for certain looks, I think he's very comfortable. He's seen a lot. He's seen what that looks like from the NFL perspective, and he's able to take that knowledge and give it to us. And he's taught me, so much as to even what I can expect at the next level. And he's a really good dude, and I know he's got a lot of respect, not just from me, but from Coach Harbaugh and the rest of the guys. So just really looking forward to this season with him.
Last year,
What is he like personality-wise?
He's very serious, but at the same time, you can joke around with him. I think, Coach Weiss is really laid back. He can, you could share some very personal things with him, and I know a lot of us appreciate that. And when it comes to on the field, I think, he's very aware of, maybe he did not play quarterback, but he understands, what it takes to play quarterback as far as the movement, as far as throwing, or he really takes into consideration, our natural feel of the game. And when we're watching film, like if you move in a pocket a certain way, like, as to maybe just saying like maybe you didn't have to do that, or maybe less criticism. It's more of like a conversation as to, why did this happen and how can we do better from this certain play or situation that we faced.
last preseason a lot different than this preseason for a multitude of reasons. You guys had an obvious identity and fuel last year that drove you to the season that you had. Leading up to this year, what is that fuel like this year? What is the goals this year in comparison to last year?
Yeah, I think, our identity I mean, it wasn't discovered in spring ball. It wasn't discovered, in player-led practices as to what kind of physicality that we were going to bring. Or I think, over the course of the next month, we're going to have a pretty damn good idea of what that's going to look like. And I think as we continue through non-conference play, we're going to really fine-tune that. And, whatever it is, I mean, we're well aware that this team is different. This team is going to maybe do things better, or we're going to have a different identity than last season. But whatever that is, our culture will remain the same. And, I just think it's a little early for that right now, but I'm excited to see what it is.
Cade, how are you viewing the quarterback competition in camp? Are you going into it even though you've been the starter feeling like you need to win the job again?
Well, yeah, I think, no matter what position you're in, I think if you become complacent, you become vulnerable. And I think this whole entire situation has really helped me in that sense that, I have zero complacency as to what my situation is and where I am on the depth chart. So if anything, I'm getting better faster than me just sitting in the quarterback room comfortably.
So you got to go up against Georgia's defense last year, which was, people say, like one of the best, since this decade. Can you explain any difference between the speed of the SEC versus like the Big Ten that you see?
I mean, not as much. I wouldn't say, because I was able to watch Alabama my freshman year and then Georgia this year. I mean, I think we missed plenty of opportunities that game. I'm not going to say that, we didn't belong in that game, because we did. But I think, that was an extremely good defense. I mean, as we saw in the NFL draft, I mean, half the team went in the first and second round. So it's not like, we were playing a lesser than average opponent. I mean, they're an extremely good team. So I think, us getting that perspective of, look, this is a talent we're going to see. This is what it's going to take if we want to win a national championship. I think that perspective was huge for this team, and it was humbling, and now we know, what it looks like.
Speaking of knowing what it looks like, after just the long recent history of struggling against Ohio State and having never made it to a Big Ten championship in sort of this past year, how much does now, having had that experience, knowing what it took to get there, how much do you feel like that helps this team moving forward?
Yeah, I think it helps us a lot. I mean, it gives us definitely more confidence that, look, we've been there. There's less weight on our shoulders as to the stress of, we have to do this. We have to, it was just a lot of, in a way, it was like anxiety as to, like, why is Coach Harbaugh on the hot seat? Like, we love, like, why does he have to, face like the criticism? Because if anyone wants to beat Ohio State, it's Coach Harbaugh, and I can promise you that. But I think, now that we got that for him, I think now that we know what that looks like, we're going to be even more confident going into that game. I think, a part of being a leader, being a member of this team, is to make sure that, we don't come complacent, not just myself, but as a team. And, I think we have stressed that mentality pretty strong this offseason, that, Team 143 is a different team, and what Team 142 did last season doesn't really matter anymore.
Having played with both offensive lines from last year in the spring, how are they similar and how are they different between cases?
I think, well, they're extremely good. I think I'm very comfortable back there in a pocket. They definitely have a lot of confidence in themselves, and that's something that stayed pretty consistent, that, when it's short yardage, they want us to run the ball. Like, it's not as much of, whoever's in the backfield, whatever it is, they want the coaching staff to put trust in them, that, we're going to believe in them to get that first down. And, I mean, they're very similar. I mean, almost the entire starting line, but I think, Andrew Stardust was a huge part of our offense last season, and, I'm thankful, for what he did, and I'm super excited to see what Olu can do, because he is a beast. And, I mean, losing Andrew Stuber, another big part of our offense, but, we have guys who can fill that position as well. And, as camp goes, we'll see who that is, and I definitely do not have any fear as to what that offensive line can do.
How do you navigate the line between the competition with JJ for
starting quarterback versus being a teammate and friend, you know, and you guys were able to do that last year, and you've pretty much been in the competition every year since you've been in Michigan for the starting job.
Yeah, I mean, I have kind of been in a competition with the exception of my redshirt freshman year, just every single year that I've been at Michigan. And I mean, that's something that's not really foreign to me at this point. So, I mean, anything I do is going to be for the sake of the team winning. And that's what's most important on my mind. And, you know, what comes with that is having good relationships, you know, with my teammates. And really for me, like, I take a lot of pride in, you know, what I bring to the team from a leadership standpoint. So allowing, you know, negativity or anything like that, I don't think that's healthy for the team or really for myself either.
During the offseason, Coach Harbaugh, he kind of flirted with like a couple NFL jobs. What kind of vibe did that leave around the locker room? And were you relieved to see that he was returning to Michigan?
Yeah, I think actually a lot of dudes were pretty confident that he was going to stay with Michigan. He was very open about, you know, what he was doing, and you know, the team respected him. I mean, we love Coach Harbaugh, and we couldn't be happier that he came back.
Lots have been made about Andrew Stardust's smarts up front, always getting into the right play. You see similar stuff. We talk about Olu being a beast, but is he similar in that respect, having picked up the offense?
Absolutely. You know, him and Coach Moore have been really working hard as to, you know, making my job easier, that, you know, I don't have to worry about some stuff. And I know that's the point, and that is really the expectation that Coach Moore wants, not just from Olu, but the rest of the O-line, to be able to recognize really the secondary, not just the front. And I think, you know, the more that Coach Moore, you know, works with those guys as well as Olu, it's going to make my job easier. And, you know, I'm confident that he's going to do that. And, I mean, you mentioned Andrew Stardust. I mean, me and him had a great connection as, you know, where I'm seeing things and what he's seeing. And I think, you know, as me and Olu just continue to get reps, I'm going to tell, like, if really, in the sense, if one of us is wrong, if we're all on the same page, if we're all wrong, then we're all right. Yeah, I mean, it was extremely meaningful, and I think, you know, as we're going around Michigan right now, we're able to see the impact that it left, not just with our team, but, you know, the fan base itself and the state itself. I think, you know, a lot of the guys are starting to realize, you know, the platform that we have, and especially when Michigan football is winning, you know, what that means for the state and the people in it. And I think, you know, a lot of us have grown an appreciation for that, and we just want to continue to do that for our fans and for our state.
The way that you guys manhandle the offense and the line, did that surprise you at all? If not, why?
In a sense, I was surprised to how kind of out of hand I thought it was. I thought the gap was pretty big during that game, and I'm sure, you know, Ohio State didn't feel very good about that. And, you know, I know that the O-line was very confident in themselves going into that game. And, you know, that was our identity last season, was that we're going to be physical. And I do not see that changing.
Cade, another big part of that game was the sound and what he was able to do from the chains, just like he did all season. Is there somebody in the backfield now that you think can fill that kind of bruiser role and pick up the first down to be out here when needed?
Yeah, we have plenty of guys in that room. I think, you know, again, we're going to find out here soon. You know, as we go into camp, we're preparing to win football games. Spring ball was kind of spent looking at, you know, who those guys could possibly be. And I think we have a good idea of who our playmakers are going to be this year. But I think, you know, H2 was an extremely good player, and I loved playing with H2. But I am extremely confident in that room.
Cade, what's your take on just everything that's happening in the college world? You can't separate NIL from the portal, from USC and UCLA and expansion. Just the guy's been around a while. What's your take on it?
I mean, I feel like the majority of the players are not going to worry about it as much when it doesn't have an effect on them, and I think that's really the only way they can approach it. At least at the University of Michigan, we have not allowed NIL to affect our locker room. We have not allowed the transfer portal to affect us in a negative way. If a guy didn't get an opportunity at another school, and we think he can help. Like, of course, like if anything, like him being able to play like Olu, for example. Like, I mean, if Olu wasn't able to somehow play this season, like that would be super unfortunate. But fortunately, we have Olu to play this season, and we're all pretty appreciative of that. So, I mean, you know, with everything as far as NIL, as far as the transfer portal, as far as all these conferences kind of switching up a little bit, I think in a way, the only teams I'm worried about are the ones on our schedule.
Do you feel like NIL is working? There's been a lot of discussion about what Michigan is or isn't doing with NIL, but in your experience with it, has it worked for you?
I think I'm in a place that I can benefit from it a lot, and I'm very appreciative of that. And I'm really happy that Michigan has done events and things for not just, you know, maybe the starters on the team, but for all players as well. And I think, in my vision, I think that's the best of NIL, that not just, you know, maybe the more popular guys get, you know, really all of it. I think, you know, when the entire team can benefit from it, that's a version of NIL that I like.
Okay, right here, I just want an Instagram smile. Got it.
Yeah, I think, you know, there's a lot of respect when an older guy comes in. And I know, you know, me and Olu share a very good mutual respect for one another. And I think, you know, a part of that I was able to develop, you know, my first 2 years at Michigan really was I was able to learn how can I impact my teammates, because I did not have that voice at that time, how can I impact an individual from just how can I leave a better imprint on him, or how can, you know, I inspire our team, you know, for the better from an individual basis. And I think those constant repetitions that I was able to get during my first 2 years just really helps me do that with any player we come across now, whether that's a transfer portal, whether that's our incoming freshmen. And I think, you know, now that I have that voice, I think in a way it's easier for me that I'm able to, you know, help guide a guy who maybe hasn't had as much reps as me or whatever that is. And I'm just, you know, happy that I'm able to do that for them.
Cade, you do a season where you beat Ohio State, win the Big Ten championship, make the playoff. What could or should a season like that do for the future of Michigan football?
It should be a foundation. I think everyone in our program is very confident in the culture that we have developed, and I think it should be here to stay. I think for this season, at least it is. I think the guys are confident in not just our ability, but, you know, what we've created at Michigan is, from a culture standpoint, from a mentality standpoint, has been such a big difference over the last couple of years. And I see it, you know, I only see, you know, this continuing to grow. And, you know, I'm just here, and some of the other guys that are here today are here to make sure that we stay on track.
The last time you were in this building was for the Big Ten championship game that you guys won. How does it feel to be back, and how does it motivate you being here to get back to the Big Ten championship game?
Yeah, it feels good. I mean, the last time we were here, you know, there's confetti on us, which felt good. But, you know, those feelings that we felt, you know, as they're, you know, being triggered right now, you know, it only makes you want to work harder. And I think, you know, seeing the other teams, you know, being in this atmosphere, it gets us excited that we're close to, you know, real football again. And, of course, it's going to be motivating.
Cade, this season, for the first time in 4 years, your team gets to play Ohio State. Getting the shoe for the first time in 4 years. What have you heard about Ohio Stadium? This year is also the 100-year anniversary of it as well. And so what have you heard about it? Have you been there? Just can you give me a rundown of Ohio Stadium and your history with it?
I visited the shoe when I was in like 7th grade, just walked around it, and I've heard plenty about it.
Are you looking forward to anything in particular when the game comes around in November?
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to it.
Cade, right here. Question for you. We only do positive sports, so we only do positive content. So, Iowa Sports Report Media. What are some of your favorite memories of playing college football? Obviously, you're not going to play college football your entire life, but what are some things that kind of stand out to you? Not just in Michigan, but I mean maybe going places or doing things like that.
Yeah, I think, we're in the process of that right now. I think at the University of Michigan, what Coach Harbaugh has done from a trip standpoint, I was fortunate enough to be one of the guys who made the South Africa trip. That is a core memory that'll stay with me for the rest of my life. And I think really, we always think about like kind of what we achieved as a team. But really the funnest times we're in the weight room, we're, messing around in the locker room or whatever it is, or even for me, some of the crazier games are the ones that we kind of don't talk about. Like when we were in Nebraska last year, or for the majority of our team, their first visit to an away game with fans last year, I think like half of our team had not played in a game with fans in another stadium till last season when we played Wisconsin. And I think just even from the littlest experiences to where we are now, I think, it's just been a blast, and I just can't wait to keep making some memories.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, what players that we don't know about or seem to sparing that you think are going to surprise people?
We have so many guys. I think, really, I'm excited to see. We keep talking about. I'm just gonna keep talking about like just who's gonna step into their roles. I think this year, and I think we're gonna find that out here soon. But I think, our freshman class is really good. Both sides of the ball. For me, like the wide receivers, they're really talented. Darius, Tyler, Amarion, like these guys are. These guys are good. And I think, from the youngest guys to maybe the ones that, are waiting to take their opportunity, I'm going to let them do that themselves, and I just can't wait for them to do it.
Coach Harbaugh was asked what this team's goals are, and the first one out of his mouth was to beat Michigan State and Ohio State in the same year. Will you circle that Michigan State game a little bit more because of what's happened last time?
Well, yeah, that stung. We lost 2 games last year, and that was one of them. And I think, the way we lost sucked. And I think, we're definitely going to circle Michigan State this season. I think, it's the same thing. It's upsetting that, we lost that game, and that fuels a lot of dudes who didn't beat them the year before that as well, And I think, we're going to worry about everyone on our schedule, but obviously our goals are to beat Ohio State, beat Michigan State in the same season, win a Big Ten title, and win the national championship.
You mentioned the receiver deal this offseason. Last year, you guys didn't play the spring game. It's pretty much all, football. You guys were all through this year. You have the spring game on TV, and also you're doing the tour around Michigan. What's the difference? Is there a different vibe you feel with this offseason versus last?
We're going to be doing different things. We're going to be experiencing different things. I think, in a way, we still played the spring game, and for guys to get the opportunity to visit, places of Michigan that they probably would never get the opportunity to if it wasn't for, this program, I see it all as benefits. I think, as I mentioned before, this is a different team. This is, we can't rely on what we did last season to give us any really complacency as to what's going to happen this season. We can't lay off the gas pedal at all. If anything, we push it down to the floor, because we're going to have an even bigger target on our back this season.
What is it like for you to come back to this event and see Sean Clifford and Tanner Morgan and you all here again? You guys seem like you've been here forever. What is that like for you?
I remember watching those guys when I was a recruit, so I'm not that old, but those guys are good players, and as QBs, like, we like to watch each other. We like to watch film on one another, and I like both of those dudes' game. I respect them both a ton, and I wish them nothing but the best this season.
How is 6 years different for you?
How's this year different?
Yeah, 6 years in school.
Well, this is my 4th year.
I'm sorry.
So, it's just, it's just one more year of experience. I think, as, you get older, you become more aware of things. You become, you just get better through experience and through more reps. And I think, I've done that.
Cade,
Okay,
how
how did your
important
coach-
is it to you how important is it to you to make sure that the quarterback competition is cordial instead of cutthroat, and that room stays tight?
What was it? Can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, the quarterback competition. How important is it to you that it stays cordial, not cutthroat, and that you guys you obviously all have the same goals in that room to stay tight as a group?
Right. Well, I think, any quarterback's job should be focused on to make sure the team wins. And I think, I think that whole group is confident that that's our mindset. And if it's not, then we'll change it.
Cade, how did finally getting that monkey off your back, Ohio State game, how did it change your head coach, do you think? I mean, what did you see different about him after finally getting over that hump?
I mean, I don't think he's changed a ton. I just love to see the guy happy. I think, the joy that we saw in Coach Harbaugh's eyes, I mean, we mentioned it last year as, we wanted it to win for ourselves, but we also wanted to win that game for Coach Harbaugh. And we're just so happy that we were able to do that last season. And, now we got to replicate it.
Yeah. Given your leadership status, how important was it at the end?
Well, I take it as an honor that Coach Harbaugh chose me to be here, and I think, I'm not super surprised, but, I know my teammates are confident that I'm representing them, and I'm honored to do that.
We're obviously here to talk about football, but you talk about the platform that you guys are giving, the trips you've taken, your teammates went to Selma recently, you've gone to Flint, I believe, touring the jail as part of the state tour, and different people around the program have been outspoken about sort of the way things are moving forward in this country, or some view backwards as far as Roe versus Wade. I wonder if there's any discussion on things like that and all these different political discussions inside the locker room, and how you have conversation with coaches, players, teammates.
I think really just everyone respects one another's decision. I think, we have a really close team, and we all respect each other. We all love each other. So, really, in my opinion, and I'm sure, the rest of the guys can agree with me that, whatever they think or whatever anyone else's opinion is, that's theirs, and they have the right to have that opinion, and that's about it.
A lot of people have written a lot about how Coach Harbaugh develops and recruits quarterbacks. Where would you say he's made the biggest impact in your game and developing you as a quarterback?
Yeah, I think Coach Harbaugh has given me an extremely different perspective on the game of quarterback. I think the experience that he had as a player and playing at such a high level, the more he's able to give that to me, whether it's in the film room, whether it's on the field, I just really appreciate it. I think, whether it's a certain play in practice, whether, or whether it's me bouncing ideas off of him about, how should I go about this part of my life, he's there for me, and he's there for everyone on this team. And I think everyone can appreciate that, we can go into Coach Harbaugh's office and talk about anything, and he'll give us his best advice on it, because I know I've gone in there at some tough parts of my life, and he's been there for me.
Wait, without a Washington or a Notre Dame on the schedule, what is the key for getting this team ready to go on the road at Iowa for that first road game in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I think, really we're preparing, for the Big Ten, obviously, but we want to win every single game we can. I think us playing those few games, no matter who the opponent is, it's not going to change our mindset as to how we approach those games or how we attack that week. I think, they're early in the season, so we're going to be, of course we're going to be juiced. Of course no matter who we're playing, it's not going to change our mindset. So I think no matter who it is, I don't think that has really much of a difference as to, our confidence going into Iowa. I think, those games will prepare us for it, and, we'll be confident going into Iowa, and we'll be, we'll have a few games underneath our belt, and that's about it.
Okay, do you